are here with James Maida, the founder and CEO of Global GLI.
Gaming Labs International.
Right. And I always like to introduce James by saying he's a man who has invented an industry, not just a company. And it's a company that has evolved enormously over the years. You started off as a testing company, testing slot machines,
right,
certifying them, and now you have a variety of services. Can you just give us a little overview on what GLI is today?
Yeah, GLI is today really, we're still really our core. We test anything technology related in the gaming industry that you would see on the gaming floor, but of course we're now into mobile and sportsbook and been doing iGaming for years. We test for all the lotteries, iLottery, VLTs. We test random number generators, for instance, for draw games all over the world. We do a little bit of voting machine testing as well. And then we also have expanded into interoperability centers. We have Bulletproof as our iGaming security, IT security business that keeps iGaming and sportsbook secure. So we've expanded as the industry has required us to.
It's a phenomenal story. You just listed off a lot of things that didn't even exist a few years ago.
That's true.
Tell us something about the challenges and opportunities you see with all the technological change that has come and is coming to gaming today.
I think that the challenges that we've seen is obviously we've had to scale. Today, GLI is a little under 1,500 employees. We've had to be able to do our work from locations, 24 plus locations around the globe. We've had to really understand what technology was coming to the United States before it arrived. You know, the Americans, we sometimes think of our technology and we look at all we've done here in our industry, but in this latest cycle, we were actually behind. You know, all of this technology was already being rolled out in Europe and in Asia and in Australia and places like that. So we're able to challenges, we're able to go around the world and set up labs in remote locations so that we can be closer to those that are developing the technology, while we continue to have four large offices here in the United States that keeps up with all the new technology coming out of the US here.
One of the things that has hastened technology change has been COVID.
Right.
COVID has had a beneficial effect in that sense. It's also created challenges. I mean, we see things like supply chain disruptions today. How do you, from your perspective, how do you see those supply chain disruptions and other challenges that COVID has created?
You know, I think when you look at the gaming industry, we were hampered by two things, right? COVID dragged technology forward for the entire world 5 years. Right? No one thought we were going to be ordering food and having DoorDash delivered and all of those technological problems. But the gaming industry itself, Frank, was 5 years behind the rest of the world. So when COVID hit, we not only had to catch up 5 years, but we then had to catch up the next 5 years that everybody else moved. So what we're seeing now is this great gaming catch up. And it's all this new technology, mostly European companies that are being bought by American companies, mergers, acquisitions, new systems, new ways of delivering, omni-channel and knowing your customers and being able to communicate and provide that experience. So we were caught 5 years behind, and now we've had to age 10 years in 18 months. And those challenges are what keep all of us up at night, because we have to make sure we have the right technical people, which we do. We've been hiring right through this pandemic. We have to make sure that we're ready for the industry. And we also, in a unique vantage point, because we don't create any technology, we test the technology. So we don't know what's coming in 3 months. So we don't really always know what we need to be ready for. So we're almost sometimes the last to know. I think the regulators are the last to know. We're probably the second last to know.
One of the things that has come with technology in a lot of industries and companies have to deal with today is cybersecurity.
Right.
Is cybersecurity something that you get a chance to that you deal with?
Yeah, so back in the 2000s, we knew that systems coming to casinos was going to be a big thing. And so we created the first interoperability center anywhere in the world. That was right here in Las Vegas. Even before we didn't even test for the state of Nevada, we had a huge interoperability center here. About 7 years ago, 2013 and 14, we thought, is GLI going to build its own cybersecurity practice? And we found a great partner, a company that had been around for 25 years before us, Bulletproof, and a Canadian-based company, and now it's a global company. We bought them, I think they had probably 70 or 80 employees. Today we have over 300. But we saw the need that security and cybersecurity was going to be needed. And so we went out and did that acquisition 7 years ago. We've done 3 or 4 follow-on acquisitions to make that company larger. Today that company is more than 300 professionals, global. So that, I think, is the biggest challenge in the industry, because networks are no longer the casino floor. The networks are your network as an operator is in everybody's home. It's your iPad, my iPhone, whatever it is. And so you have to now secure yourself against people you really don't know. And it's created another industry. You talk about creating an industry, geo-comply. People like that who are into geofencing and geolocation, know your customer. We didn't even think about that 5 to 10 years ago.
Given all this change, given the 10-year catch-up as you described, and from your unique perspective, can you look in your crystal ball and try to project what the gaming industry might look like 3 or 4 years from now?
I think this catch-up has been so dramatic. I think in the last 2 years, we've done things that I would have sat here 5 years ago and said, Frank, maybe we'll get to this in 5 to 10 years. I don't know that the gaming industry has to undergo the revolutionary changes year to year or even in 2 or 3 year spurts that we've seen over the last 10. I think over the next 5 years, let's say, I think that you're going to see what they do in the cable industry or the TV industry. You're going to see a lot of consolidations. And Frank, I know Fantini report is something that we all flip on our phones every night, and I think the whole industry reads it. It's that pervasive in terms of what we do. But I think every day you have in there merger of this and merger of that. People don't have time to build things anymore. They're just going to buy things, and they're just going to combine them. Huge mega deals are being done. And so I think right now we're going to probably not see a huge advancement in headline technology. There'll be a lot of advancement in the underlying infrastructure of technology, but I think we'll see lots of mergers, lots of acquisitions. I think you're going to see suppliers buying other people in other channels. You're going to see casinos probably start buying suppliers and maybe have their own sportsbook technology company. People like Rush Street had the ability to take some time to build their business, and they've done a fabulous job. I think you're going to see less of that. I think you're going to buy rather than build, and I think that's what's going to happen over the next 5 years. And capital, as you know, is so cheap and so plentiful that people, I think, don't have the time to build. They're going to buy. So I think over the next 5 years, we're going to see massive consolidation. We've been talking, Frank, you and I keep doing these interviews year after year, and we talk about convergence. And I've said for 10 years, we're going to have massive convergence. And now look at casinos and look at casino operators and suppliers. And there has been massive convergence, and I think there's going to continue to be.
Yeah, one of the things that some people have said is that what's going to happen in the gaming industry is what's happening throughout the media, throughout the world. And it's sort of the Netflix phenomenon.
Right.
Where you've got somebody who's a disseminator and a producer, and the customer is entertained on demand, not at the hours that somebody else has decided
so
for
think
them.
about Netflix, right, Frank? That started out as like a blockbuster, go to a place and pick up a tape, and then there was a DVD and they could ship it to your house. Then they said, okay, we're going to do streaming. But now Netflix is a movie studio. They win Emmys and they win Oscars, and so the content creator is the same people who stream it, and we're seeing that with Disney, and we're seeing that with Universal, NBC, and all of the massive conglomerates of cable and media. And so I think that scale and being to put together these large transactions, I think just a few weeks ago, Entain and DraftKings, talking about $22 billion or something, business combination. That's just massive numbers that this industry didn't see when Scientific Games was buying WMS or when Scientific Games bought, Bally Technologies. Those two transactions together weren't $22 billion. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun.
I think it's interesting that some months ago, Odyssey, which is the owner of a large number of radio stations, and now they do podcasts and those sorts of things, bought a gaming media company, an affiliate company. So now Odyssey is actually part of the gaming industry now, as well as the beneficiary of advertising by gaming companies.
I also like to caution, I think people think it's all going to be online, it's all going to be that's the new thing that everybody wants. But I'm here in town this week, and I got to take my family, who's in town this week, to at the Bellagio, and this is a Cirque du Soleil using water and divers, and I was there in person, and the live event was amazing, and I don't know that you could capture that on television. I don't know how we could even do this over Zoom, and it wouldn't be as fun as us being in the same room. So I think right now everybody's all about the new digital technology, which they should be. But I don't think you can just write off slot machines and how many there are going to be in the United States. And the casinos are not going away. It just might not be in vogue what we've been doing the last 10 years. But I think that comes back well. And I think people figure out how to offer all of those types of entertainment. So it's going to be, everybody's going to be entertained all at the same time in the way that they want to consume it. So I don't think that digital replaces the land-based. I think it's 1 + 1 = 3 if it's done well.
James, that is a great summation from a guy who sees the entire industry every day.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Frank,
you.
for having me today. Appreciate it.